Let's begin with our first segment, and that concerns the UN SDG report 2024. What are the important points of this report? What has been done as far as the SDG 2030 goals are concerned? To talk more about this, we've been joined by Yongyi. She is the chief of the SDG monitoring section at the Statistics Division of the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Thank you very much, Yongyi, to have joined us. Pleasure to have you in this exclusive on PTV World. I'd like you to begin with telling a little bit about yourself, because a lot of people don't know what UN Stats is all about and what is the role that you have as far as the SDG reports are concerned. I understand you've been preparing and overheading these reports for quite a number of years. What are the basic objectives of your organization in this regard?
Thank you so much, Omar. Thank you for having me. The United Nations Statistical Division is a part of the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, which is the development pillar of the United Nations. So the UN Statistical Division is committed to the advancement of the global statistical system. So we compile and disseminate global statistical information, such as economic statistics, GDP, trade statistics, environment statistics, social statistics. We also develop standards and norms for statistical activities and support countries' effort to strengthen their national statistical system. So we facilitate the coordination of international statistical activities and support the function of the United Nations Statistical Commissions, which is the apex entity of the global statistical system. So I have been doing the SDG report since 2015. So this is 2024 report will be our ninth global SDG report.
All right, wonderful. Yongyi, what is the importance of the SDGs? We talk a lot about these, the different 17 important goals that the SDGs have. What are these SDGs? How important are they? And how important is it also that they be monitored properly?
So the Sustainable Development Goals are a collection of 17 interlinked global goals designed to be the blueprint to achieve a better and a more sustainable future for all by 2030. These goals are intended to address a wide range of issues such as poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and justice. It was adopted by all 193 UN member states in July 2015. The SDG provide a very comprehensive development framework for addressing the most pressing global challenges. So they're universal, applying to all countries, regardless of their level of development. So proper monitoring is very critical in the implementation of the SDG. First, it helps tracking the progress. So proper monitoring is essential for tracking progress towards achieving the SDGs. So without accurate and timely data, it's very difficult to assess whether the goals are being met or where additional effort are needed. And secondly, it can inform decision making. Reliable and data and monitoring help policymakers make informed decisions. It helps identify gaps, challenges, and emerging issues that may hinder progress, also allowing for timely interventions and adjustment to strategy. It helps allocate resources effectively and implement policies that are not likely to have a positive, that are most likely, to have a positive impact. And also provide transparency and accountability. So monitoring ensures transparency and accountability by making information available to the public and allows stakeholders to hold the governments and other actors accountable for their commitments and actions. And I think last but not least, it also brings awareness and foster collaborations. Through monitoring, people are aware what the countries, all the world has been doing in terms of the progress, and foster collaboration and knowledge sharing among countries, organizations, and also different communities, leading to more effective and coordinated efforts.
All right. The recently released SDG report, let's talk a little bit about that, 2024. It finds that only 17% of the SDG targets have been achieved, are on track. Nearly half are showing minimal or moderate progress, and progress on over one-third has been stalled or has even regressed. What have been the other important findings of this recently released SDG report 2024? Although it highlights what are the positives, but it also highlights what are the negatives as far as the different SDG goals are concerned.
Yeah, this is a very sobering picture. So the past year, the world has witnessed unprecedented challenges that have strained our global commitments. And like under goal 1, we see additional 23 million people lived in extreme poverty in 2022 compared to 2019. And over 100 million more suffered from hunger in 2022 compared to 2019. The global health progress slowed since 2015 with mixed improvements in health target. The COVID-19 pandemic has ravaged the global health, undoing nearly 10 years of progress in improving life expectancies. Currently, I think the life expectancy is reduced by about 1.7 years. Education also remains threatened, as many countries see declines in student math and reading skills, and 1 in 5 young people not in employment, education, or trainings. So we also see the highest number of refugee and forcibly displaced people ever recorded, which is a staggering 120 million individuals. This is compared like the 80 million just 4 years ago. Our planet's health continues to deteriorate at alarming rate. 2023 marked the warmest year on record, pushed us very closely to that 1.5 degree threshold of the Paris Agreement. Biodiversity continues to decline. The economic landscape of developing countries is particularly concerning. For the first time this century, per capita GDP growth in half the world's most vulnerable country lags behind that of advanced economies. This trend threatens to reverse decades of progress towards income equality among nations. So I know I shared a lot of very concerning news, but among these challenges, we have seen remarked progress that should inspire our continued effort. So the report also highlights some encouraging advancements. So over the past 3 decades, increased access to life-saving HIV treatment has averted close to 21 million AIDS-related deaths. In education, girls have achieved parity and even surpassed boys in completing school at all levels in most regions. The digital divide is narrowing, with 2/3 of the world's population now having access to the internet, which is nearly 70% more than in 2015. And the child mortality rate has reduced by more than 50% since 2000. So this is a very encouraging news that keeps us going. So we just have to learn from the lessons of this positive development.
All right. Yongyi, I'd also like to add to some of the issues that the SDG report 2024 has highlighted. It talks about systemic deficiencies, inequality in the global economic and financial system. It talks about biodiversity loss that is accelerating. It talks about progress towards gender equality that has remained disappointing. It talks about conflicts in Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, and beyond that have left an unprecedented 120 million, that, as you yourself said, forcibly displaced people worldwide. In this bleak situation, why has the world, in your point of view, this is a slightly out of context question, but why has the world stopped caring? Because, you know, this is what the SDG goals is all about, to bring the world together, to work together for the achievement of these important goals.
I think it's not the word stop caring. It's I just say in the early years of the 2030 agenda, from 2015 to 2019, progress in key indicator was slow but steady. then the global challenge intensified after 2020. We are aware of that, the COVID-19 pandemic, the escalating conflict, the geopolitical tensions, the climate change impacts, and the systematic economic shortcomings also have endangered the SDGs, disproportionately affecting the developing countries and also the most vulnerable populations worldwide. The shrinking fiscal space basically has curbed many of the countries' capacity to address these shortfalls. And currently, the debt level remains unprecedentedly high for many of the low-income countries, and there are many of them in debt stress already, and the annual SDG investment gap for developing countries currently stands at $4 trillion.
All right. Yongyi, Pakistan has been extremely affected by climate change. So I would like to ask a Pakistan-specific question. Climate change is one of the 5 major goals that have been discussed in the SDG report 2024. What are the major concerns regarding climate change? You know as well that Antonio Guterres was in Pakistan. He saw the effects that the floods in 2022 had on Pakistan and all the other effects that climate change is having on Pakistan as well. What are the major concerns as far as this report is concerned regarding climate change?
Regarding to climate change, first we have the record-breaking temperature. As I mentioned, 2023 was confirmed as the hottest year on record, with the global temperature soaring to approximately 1.45 degrees above the pre-industrial level. The 10 warmest year in the 170 years with records have all happened during the last decade. Greenhouse gas emissions, the global greenhouse gas emission reached a new record of 57 gigatons of CO2 equivalent in 2022. About 2/3 of this emission is from fossil fuel combustion and industry process. So keeping warming to the 1.5 target based on the Paris Agreement call for a 42% reduction in greenhouse gas emission. But current national policy put the world on track for 3 degrees warming. Some good news on climate. Climate finance is very critical in backing global mitigation and adaptation efforts. Developed country committed to mobilize 100 billion annually in climate finance for developing country by 2022 and through 2025. This commitment for developing country was met for the first time in 2022, reaching $116 billion. However, it's estimated nearly $6 trillion is needed for developing countries' climate action plan by 2030. Another concerning factor is fossil fuel subsidy. Fossil fuel subsidy hit a record high of 1.53 trillion in 2022, mainly due to rising energy prices.
All right, Yongyi, you talked about amongst all of these, reservations that the SDG report has. There are some positives that have also been recorded, and you've highlighted some of them, like reductions in child mortality, in HIV infections, the cost of remittances, improvements in access to water, sanitation, energy, and mobile broadband. Under the circumstances that the world is, facing, how has progress been made in these areas?
So progress in various SDG areas can be attributed to a combination of targeted interventions, international cooperation, technological advancement, and policy change. For example, I mentioned the child mortality, the under 5 child mortality reduced by 51% between 2000 and 2023. This is due to a couple factors. First, is healthcare improvements. Increased access to health care service, including maternal and child health service, vaccinations, prenatal care has significantly reduced child mortality rates. Nutrition programs enhance the nutrition through programs that provide better access to healthy food for mothers and children has improved overall child health and reduced mortality. Sanitation and clean water investments in clean water and sanitation facilities have decreased the incidence of waterborne diseases, which are the major contributor to the child mortality. And thirdly, the education for mothers on health practices and child care also improved early childhood health and survival rates. In terms of like increased access to renewable energy and electricity, and there's many renewable energy projects. Investment in this renewable energy resources such as solar, wind, hydropower has increased dramatically. So which have improved access to affordable and sustainable energies in many regions. And infrastructure development, the expansion of energy infrastructure, including the grids and off-grid solutions, has brought electricity to remote and underserved areas. A lot of countries designed the policy initiative and the incentive promote energy access, efficiency, and renewable energies adaptation have driving the progress. And in addition, there's international support, both in terms of financial and technical support. So in general, progress in SDG areas is a result of coordinated effort by the governments, international organizations, civil society, and the private sector. They leverage the data innovation, targeted intervention to address these challenges.
All right, Yongyi, some of the SDGs are under review during an ongoing United Nations high-level political forum that is happening as we speak. Why are these SDGs under review, and what are those SDGs that are under review?
So the SDG under review typically refer to the specific goals that have been examined in depth during particular year's UN high-level political forum on sustainable development. Because the high-level political forum is the main United Nations platform for follow-up and review of the 2030 agenda under the 17 goals. So each year, a subset of the 17 goals is selected for in-depth review alongside Goal 17, which is a partnership for the goals, which is reviewed annually. The specific goals under review for this year is Goal 1 on ending poverty, Goal 2, ending hunger, Goal 3 on combating climate change, Goal 16 on promoting peaceful and inclusive society, and also Goal 17 on partnerships.
All right. Also, this year's Summit of the Future that is going to happen later in the year will provide a vital opportunity, will also pave the way for further breakthroughs as far as the financing for developing countries and the Development Conference and the World Social Summit is concerned that is going to happen next year, that is in 2025. What are the hopes attached to the Summit of the Future in September during the United Nations General Assembly that is going to happen at the same time?
The Summit of the Future is a high-level event that gathers the world leaders to establish a new international consensus on creating a better present and safeguarding the future. This high-level event will bring together the UN member states, UN agencies, non-government organizations, civil society organizations, academic institutions, and the private sector, and particular youth under the theme, the Summit of the Future, multilateral solution for a better tomorrow. I think it aims to forge a new global consensus on what our future should look like and what we can do today to secure it. Effective global cooperation is critical for our survival, but the challenge is to attain amidst the distrust and outdated structure that no longer reflect the current political and economic realities. So this unique opportunity aims to restore the trust and prove that international collaboration can successfully achieve shared goals and address emerging threats and opportunities. So in September, the world leader will meet at the United Nations in New York to adopt the Pact for the Future, which also include a global digital compact and also a declaration on future generations.
All right, when you talk of future generations, you also see the conflicts that are happening all across the world as we speak. So many, I don't want to go there. But these conflicts, on the one hand, not only have caused immense casualties, but have also caused a serious impact on inflation, on food prices in these different countries, Gaza, Sudan, Ukraine, and beyond. We have talked about the 120 million displaced people worldwide. how can the United Nations help? How can countries together on one platform through the SDGs help alleviate the serious impact of inflation on food prices?
I think this week, and also I know the goal 2 is under review. So the world leader will gather together to look for the solution. What's the issue on the food prices? We know that in 2022, the number of countries with food prices soaring, affected by abnormal high food prices, rose sharply in 2022 to reach a new high record of 58%. So in this week and also in the coming weeks, in the ministerial level, the segment of the high-level political, the world leaders will gather together to look for the solutions, to look at where the disruptions on the logistics and the food supply chains, how the work can work together to provide a stable food supply chain and to reduce the high food price and provide a sufficient, ensure the food security for the world.
Finally, Yongyi, Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, had put up a huge introductory remark at the beginning of the UN SDG 2024 report that I happened to go through, and he talked about the same inequalities, the issues that concern, the positives also that have been put forward. But he also talks about bolder actions that are required, and he talks of 4 important points here. He says, firstly, we need peace. Secondly, we need solidarity. Thirdly, we need a surge in implementation, and he said also we need a more concerted effort to dismantle gender barriers and empower all the women and girls, because we cannot expect to achieve the goals without gender equality. So 4 things: peace, solidarity, implementation and gender equality. With just 6 years remaining to implement the SDGs, because the end time period is 2030, do you feel these actions are achievable?
So let me say that we understand that we face enormous challenges like COVID-19 pandemic, climate impacts, and the geopolitical conflicts have set back progress in many years. And the developing country also facing enormous funding gaps. And also many of the SDG goals require complex systematic change that's probably difficult to achieve rapidly. And given that, it's unlikely that all 17 goals will be fully achieved by 2030 in every country. However, we see significant progress is possible for many areas. The goals serve as a very important benchmarks and motivators, even if not all targets are met. So we have reason for hope and for optimism. There are growing global recognition of the SDG importance, and more people aware of the importance of achieving and put the consolidated efforts to achieve it. We have a technological advancement. New technologies such as AI can enable a more efficient solution to some of the challenges. And partnership, I think there is increasing collaboration between governments, private sector, and the civil society in many areas to advance many of the developing goals. And also adaptive strategy. Many countries are developing innovative approach to accelerate progress. So moving forward, our focus should not be on if or not if we achieve the SDGs. The focus should be on making as much of the progress as possible by 2030, and also look at how we can continue and accelerate effort beyond 2030.
All right, thank you so very much, Yongyi Min, Chief of the SDG Monitoring Section at the UN Stats Division, to have joined us and to have talked to us exclusively on PTV World about the UN report on the SDGs in 2024, and of course all the inequalities, all the issues that the SDG report also points out, but also the good things that have also come out of it. But the important thing is that we get to know how the SDGs are being, taken care of by all the different countries. Are they being adapted properly? If not, what should be done and what are the lacunae that are present? And thank you for having highlighted all of that and given us a broader understanding of not only what your organization does, but also what the SDG report stands for. Thank you very much, Yongyi Min, to have joined us.